Welcome back, everyone, to Marketing Your Mind. Today, I've got a really special guest. I'm looking forward to this one. I've got Jenna Peterson here with me. Jenna is a top-selling real estate agent here in the Treasure Valley with a massive social media following you've built completely from scratch. Well, like everyone has. I don't know why I said it that way. But 90% of your leads are coming directly from organic social media, and you've taken the knowledge that you've gained through real estate and applied it into what you are now doing with the consulting and coaching space. You got a few courses. And before getting into real estate, you had multiple six-figure businesses. So Jenna, thank you for joining me today. This is your first podcast I think you've done, right?
This is my first one.
Sweet. Are you excited? How are you feeling?
I'm super excited.
Okay, sweet. Well, I'm pumped to have you. Thank you for, again, taking time out of your day to come out here. I've got a lot of questions for you because I'm really intrigued and interested in how you're running your business, because coaching, consulting, I feel like there's so many people out there that do it and they're trying to do this model of online courses, right? And it seems like you're doing a really exceptional job at it relative to what everyone else is doing. You figured out a couple things here and there. So if you could please give me just I gave a quick intro for me. Give me a brief synopsis of who are you, what do you do, a little bit about your background.
Awesome. Thanks again for having me. So I have been in the Treasure Valley area for the last 8 years. We kind of beat the rush, we like to say. And I jumped into real estate about 3 years ago. Prior to that, I had been doing some different social media marketing and network marketing businesses, and transitioned into real estate really organically with people asking me to buy and sell their houses without knowing I wasn't an agent, because I would literally put people in my car and start driving them around to neighborhoods and show them houses. I've always had a love for homes and building relationships with people. And I think the final straw was my parents put an offer in on almost $1 million home and I couldn't represent them. And that one stung. And so finally the next day I had a 2-month-old baby and I was like, I'm getting my license. This is it. So I jumped in and it's been a wild ride. But I learned pretty quickly that the element that I was missing was the mentorship and training piece that I have just always loved. And there wasn't a lot out there in terms of building your business through social media. And that's primarily what I've done. And so I felt that there was this gap in the market and continued to get questions asked on my Instagram and in my Facebook Messenger daily, asking me, how are you getting business from Instagram? How are you doing this? And what should I be doing? And so that's when I developed a coaching business. Really, it only started in the fall of last year in 2022. So it hasn't been going for very long, but it's been absolutely amazing. And I've been able to help almost 300 students now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you haven't even been doing it for a full year yet, have you?
No.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you're already making multiple 5 figures a month doing coaching and stuff, right?
Yes.
So that's obviously a testament to you kind of know what you're doing a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
People
working.
obviously willing to pay you to give them coaching and stuff like this. So I like how you said, it sounds like both real estate and coaching came from a need. It wasn't like, I want to do this, and you were kind of starting from scratch. It came from a need that was already out there. People were already asking you to show them homes. And so before you even had your license, you were out giving people rides and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then with coaching, people were just naturally, organically coming across you on social media and saying, how are you doing this? How are you figuring it out? So, okay, so that's cool. So I want to go straight into the coaching and consulting stuff, right? The people that watch this, the viewers that watch this, our audience primarily consists of course creators just like us, right?
Awesome.
So they want to know the different tactics and marketing tactics that people are implementing that's working for them, because I really think marketing as a whole and the success of that depends on the personality pretty heavily on who is doing it, right? I think with you and your personality, organic works really well.
Yep.
I work with a few people that, like, when it comes to marketing, ad buying and doing ads with them and scripting out specific things works a lot better for them.
Yep.
There's so many different tactics out there. So walk me through when you first started, people were reaching out and they were like, hey, because I think it was around the same time you came in and initially talked with me and you were like, I think I want to do coaching and consulting. People are asking me for it. There's a need for it. And then we started talking about it a little bit there.
Yeah.
So walk me through what it was like when people were asking you, what were the questions they were asking? And then what was going through your head in terms of opportunities?
Yeah. So it really started out with me completely clueless on what my first offering should be. And the best thing I knew was that I had some time. And so I offered my time. I did a lot of one-on-one calls. I remember 1 month, it was a mistake looking back, but I booked as many one-on-one calls as I could. And I think I had 30 in 1 month.
And were these like free one-on-one discovery calls, or were they like booked calls?
So these were
Paid?
paid calls for a very low price because I really wanted to get some market research. I had a lot of DMs and I had been doing free coaching for years in my DMs. which to an extent was really helpful. I was able to see what needs people had. And so I developed this 60-minute coaching session where I would go through several different categories where I knew I could add some quick value to their business. And I let these people fill out a form ahead of time so I had an idea of what they were struggling with, where they had gaps, where they needed support. And I would cater those calls to what they needed. These 30 plus calls I did in the beginning were extremely valuable in me shaping my future offers.
Sounds like those were your proof of concept.
Yep.
Just getting those initial calls out of the way.
Yep.
So while you were doing those calls, well, actually, I guess I don't remember exactly chronologically where you were at when you came in initially, but when you came in initially, because I think this could be really good for people listening. I think correct me if I'm wrong, one of the biggest things holding you back was imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right. So talk to me a little bit more about that. What were you going through? How are you feeling? And then how did you get out of that?
Yeah. So to be honest, imposter syndrome is what held me back from starting sooner. I felt like I needed to have years and years and years of experience in real estate in order to offer my expertise to someone else online. And I remember Ridge specifically saying, okay, where do you feel like you're at right now on a scale of 1 to 10? And I said, maybe a 5 or 6. And he said, okay, well, maybe you're not going to position your offers to people who are at a 10, but what about those people 1 through 5 that you could have significant value for? And I thought, okay. And that really stuck with me. I didn't do anything for a few months after I spoke with you. I really let that sit in my mind. And when I continued to get questions and show up, and by the way, that entire period of time, I continued to show up online and share value and add value as best as I could. And people would continue to reach out. And so one day I just thought, okay, let's do some proof of concept. Let's see what people, how they respond to this. And then we can always build from there. So it was a very, very low cost to get started. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, for sure. And so I assume you probably I'm curious what your go-to-market strategy was. It sounds like there wasn't really one. You kind of were just like, how did you formulate a price? How did you formulate a specific offer? How did you start to actually come up with that?
So initially there wasn't a huge strategy as far as going to market. It was one of those reactive responses, I guess, where people were telling me they needed something and I responded with, okay, I'm going to open up my calendar. But after the end of the year, I saw what I made in a very short few amount of months and thought, okay, I need to put some actual strategy behind this. And that's where I really started to come up with new offers starting the beginning of this year and put a lot more structure behind how I was actually going to launch, pre-launch, et cetera, some of these offers that I've started to formulate.
And how many different offers do you have currently?
There's 3 main offers right now, but I am selling a couple of other, like I have a guide that's a low. So I spaced it out, and I will say, for those of you who are really struggling right now with where to get started, like I paid a coach, total transparency. I paid $14,000 in 1 month, more money than I've ever invested in myself to get this right.
What kind of coach?
I paid 2 different coaches.
Okay.
One is a money mindset coach, and that was because I had some just different things in my head that were holding me back that I needed to release and know that I was able to move past this. And then the other one was a strategy coach who had gone ahead of me, who I had watched her launch successfully multiple courses. She runs masterminds. I had worked with her in the past in a previous business. And so I knew her track record and knew that she had already done it. So I paid her the majority of that money to hold my hand and literally walk me through every single step that I needed to do.
What do you think the ROI was from investing in those coaches?
I would pay it again a million times over.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny that like so many people I talk to, when it comes to what's holding them back from starting a course, it's like, I don't think I'm capable or have the knowledge to do it, or I don't even know where to begin.
Exactly.
Right. And that actually goes with pretty much anything in business.
Yep.
Where do I even start? Right. And I always tell people literally, it's so easy in theory. I say it all the time. It's so easy in theory, but it's difficult in execution.
Yep.
It's easy in theory because it's like, if you want to do X, go find someone who's already doing X and is doing it really well and making a lot of money doing it, and either pay them to teach you. I did that one time. I was networking. I came across someone who was doing exactly what I want to do. And I was like, do you do coaching? He was like, no. And I was like, how much is it going to cost if I pay you to sit down with me like once a week for this many months, teach me how to go from here to here?
Yep.
And he was like, I don't know, this much. And I was like, all right, sweet,
I'll
let's
pay
do
it.
it. And that's probably the smartest way you can invest your money, I think, is giving it to someone who's already doing it, that's done it better than you. So you can learn from all their mistakes. So you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to waste all your money and all your time learning the same mistakes they did. And you can streamline the process, learning directly from someone who's done it. So
Exactly.
yeah, I totally agree. So your different offers. So walk me through like the funnel process.
Okay.
Now we're talking about marketing, walking through the funnel from A to Z, cold to final close. It sounds like you've got like a lead magnet, right? And
Yeah.
it sounds like you've got a big upsell to like almost like a mastermind type of thing, right?
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. So one of the things my coaches taught me were to make it really, really clear the different levels of access someone is going to have with you in your price points. So I start out with a free offering. I have 30 free reel ideas that you can implement today, and you can do a whole month of reels on your Instagram. That's a huge way that I've grown my business, through reels. And that's an easy thing for them to get. I get an email and they get a free ebook to download, right?
Nice.
After that, I have a $67 offer where they get a getting started workbook guide that takes
real quick,
them.
the first one is how much?
That is free.
That's free. Okay, so that's your lead magnet. You got the free one, then you got a $37?
$67
Okay.
guide where someone can download that and basically get everything that I've used up to this point in my business through buyer and seller consultations, templates, guides, goal setting. They have a whole host of downloadables that are at their fingertips, where this has, and the beauty behind this is what I've consolidated in 3 years of being an agent. So what do I say when I'm in an appointment with someone to get them to take them to the next step, right? What are some of the branding templates that I use to make sure that all of my presence on social media and in my real estate business are cohesive? These are all different things I put in this guide as really a way for someone to get to know me, my style a little bit more, what they can expect if they were to work in a more intimate setting. And then from there, I do run a monthly membership. The monthly membership has changed in price, and I'll explain this a little bit, but it is and I'm taking you through the cycle of like lowest price to my most expensive offer, which is the highest access to me. And the next one is a monthly membership. This started out with my husband's advice of making it as cheap as possible, which I don't necessarily recommend, but he wanted me to fill this group up. And so I started it with a $3 a month charge. It's now up to $9 a month. But I have about 200 students in there, and we meet twice a month, and I just do a quick training. Sometimes it's a Q&A session. Sometimes I have a specific topic, but this is specifically for my niche, which is real estate agents looking to grow their business. So we have that monthly membership, about $9 a month. And then the next offering jumps up to my social media course, which is my big course that I launched in February. And that is just over $2,000 for the full course. And then they have an option to join a mastermind, and they can pair the course with the mastermind, which is a 4-month mastermind. That offering is just over $4,000, so $4,500 if they pay in full. I always give an option for someone to pay monthly or to pay in full. They get a little bit of a discount if they pay up front. And then the last offering is one-on-ones with me. I do not open very many spots of these. I have 2 one-on-one students right now I'm working through, and that pricing has continued to increase. When I first started, I remember signing on my very first one-on-one client just over $2,000 for 3 months, and now I'm up to $8,000 for that.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you've got several different offerings, it's smart, right? And it sounds like the ultimate thing you're trying to get people into is your main social media course. And you've got a few different, you got the lead magnets, and you're doing it right. Like you're adding immense value at such a low price point at the beginning to build that initial trust to get people into ultimately what you're trying to sell, which is this the social media course. And by that point, when they're ready to buy, they're like, I already know you. I already trust you. You already have given me so much value. At this point, the value, like you talked about the like the value equation in terms of like people's perceived value and what the actual value is. At this point, their perceived value is way above. So it should be a pretty easy sell.
Correct.
So that's good. And so when did you launch the social media course?
I pre-launched in end of February, beginning of March, but I actually didn't start having people take the course until a few weeks after that. So the end of March.
Got it. Okay. And I assume that's like what's it hosted on? Is it like a pre-recorded course, I presume?
It's all pre-recorded,
Okay.
32 lessons with PDF
Nice.
printables and things like that.
Nice. Do you have is there anything else offered into that, or is it just buy in and you get access to the video courses? And that's
So
what
in
they're-
addition to that, they do get a support group for those 12
Nice.
weeks that they're a
Cool.
part of it. So people naturally will have questions. They may say, hey, lesson 2, module 3, I'm really stuck on this. Can you help me walk me through, what I'm missing here? And I love that piece because we do have a private Facebook group that we run that support group through.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So I like it. So let's go to your social media real quick. So I want to talk about, you're obviously doing something right on it. And I think you figured something out that a lot of people don't. But on that note, I want to ask first, do you think you've figured something out that other people aren't aware of? Or do you think you're just implementing what everybody already knows they should be doing, but they're just not doing?
Oh, 100%. I'm implementing what people aren't willing to do. The fact that for the first 5 years of me on social media, it was my mom and my husband showing up on my lives and liking my videos. It didn't stop me from continue going. So there is a huge consistency factor in this that I believe, but I do also believe that it is paired with some strategy. If you just post every day a picture of your dog and you're trying to sell a course, like that may not translate well. But so there are strategy pieces behind it, but I think people overthink it too much.
So it's like, would you say there's a secret sauce? Or not really? Like you sure there's always strategy, there's always tactics, but it's not something that everybody is just unaware of that you've suddenly figured out.
Correct.
Right? So, okay. So, you've had quite a few reels go viral in the sense of like over 1 million views, right? Do you have a formula for viral content?
A little bit. Some of it is luck, a little bit is strategy. So if you are looking for a reel to go viral, number 1, please put a hook on your reel. You need a reason for someone to stop their scroll and have to read what you're about to say. Number 2, you need a trending audio. Very rarely have I had a reel go viral that does not have a trending audio with less than 15,000 views on that audio. If there are too many videos attached to that audio, more chances than not, it will not go viral.
Got it. So it's not a matter of like, you want to find that in between. You don't want an audio that is not trending at all, but you also don't want one that's crazy trending because it's just going to blend in and it's going to fall into the sea of everything else.
Just like hashtags.
Yeah, for sure. So you said like under 15,000?
Yeah.
Okay. But above what would you say roughly?
Actually, if it's trending at 200 or 300, go for it.
Okay, sweet. Cool. And then hashtags. Are hashtags still relevant?
Absolutely. That's how people find me.
Interesting. Okay. It's so cool too because I find, and that makes sense, right? I see so many gurus talk about one thing on social media and coaches talk about another thing. I've heard like from some people, hashtags don't matter as long as your content's valuable.
Yeah.
But then other people are like, no, hashtags are pretty relevant, right?
Yep.
So, but that makes sense. I've always thought that too. It's like people are searching hashtags, so they're gonna be able to find you. It only makes sense to do it.
And people say that social media is not a search engine, but I use in my own personal life Instagram as a search engine. If we're going to a new destination for vacation and I want to look up a place we're about to go to, I will go on Instagram to see what other people have hashtagged for that space just to get an idea of what I should expect. So people are doing the same thing, whether they're looking to invest in a course or they're looking to buy a house. They're using hashtags.
For sure. Do you when you do like Instagram audits for people, I presume, right? Okay. Do you think you could do that for pretty much anyone, or is it primarily real estate?
I could do it for
My
anyone.
question is, could you audit mine?
Yeah.
Can we do a free quick like 5-minute audit on here
Let's
real
do
quick?
it.
Because I think this would be really good. I'll do a screen recording. Yeah, and then I'll think to add this in. This could be really cool. This could be great content right here too. So, okay, so here's my Instagram. Real quick, you've got what, 56,000, 57,000?
55 or 57 or something.
57,000? Okay, so you're doing a lot better than I am. You've got a lot of, my reels average like couple thousand. I got some that get like 10, 15,000.
That's awesome.
It's pretty decent, right? And at the end of the day, it's generating good leads for me. But
exactly.
from someone that I think might know more than I do, give me a quick audit on this. It's screen recording right now, so we'll add it in the podcast.
Okay. So first off, I always tell people to start with their profile picture. I like a really clear profile headshot of someone with a light, airy background. Now, I do want it to speak to that person. So this is typically what I'll say for someone in real estate. But in your case, I think this is what would you call this?
It's like it's one of those AI generated.
Yeah, AI generated.
Photos,
okay, so it may work for your audience. I would potentially suggest having a professional headshot of you.
Yeah.
On there. Okay, so the next thing I go to is the headline. And anything in bold, this is maybe a secret for some of you that don't know, that is searchable content. Anything below that is not. So when someone is searching on Instagram, a video marketer professional, Ridge is going to show up if they're typing in video marketing. If he did not have that and he just had his name, most people don't know to search your name. They don't know who you are. They're trying to find you. So I actually say that your name isn't as important on that line as others might think. You may also want to utilize all of that real estate. So I say like, yeah, you have video marketing, but is there something else that you want to stand out on, that you want people when they're searching for you to pop up? Because
that's right. You have that because yours is really long.
Mine's really long because it doesn't matter if they're searching just one part of that. I will come up on all of those different topics. So I say use that real estate as best you can. Okay. In your bio, I like to know who you're helping. And he says, we help entrepreneurs sell more using our systems.
It's pretty broad.
It's a little bit broad. I want you to call someone more specific out. Videos that generate proven results, over 50 million views. Schedule a strategy call with a finger pointing below. I love that. It's a really clear call to action for the viewer, but I do think that he needs to niche down a little bit more who he's trying to help.
If we change the top line to we help coaches sell more using our systems, is that still too broad, or do you think that's pretty decent?
I think you're getting more in the right track because coaches is already going to niche down from entrepreneurs, but you could specify it even a little bit more. Videos that generate proven results, that's a little bit vague. You could probably change that. I do like that you offer credibility for what you've done for your clients, over 50 million views. That's huge. But yeah, I think the number one thing on your bio is just calling someone out. And people are so afraid to do it. I just recently changed mine so that I was calling my niche audience or my target audience even more. And I was nervous that it's going to take away because I do have non-real estate coaching clients. But on my bio, it says that I only help people who are looking to level up in real estate through my coaching business and offerings. And the funny thing about it is I still get people reaching out that want me to help them that aren't in real estate. So I think it just highlights and magnifies you to your ideal client even more.
For sure.
Okay, let's click on your link to see what you have on there, because the link is really, really valuable real estate. I want it to be clear what someone's next step would be. I like to offer some sort of freebie in this. So this is where I would recommend putting a lead magnet.
Yeah.
I don't see one right now on your link, so I would definitely add something. It's a great way to collect email addresses as well, to build your email list. That's another part of my strategy that I've really tried to work on this year, is using email marketing. Schedule a free strategy call is great because there's a lot of people that will have some questions. It goes straight to his calendar. I love that. Let's see what else. I can easily click on his podcast. I think that's great. The only thing I would add in here is some sort of freebie for someone to get a quick win today. Okay, highlights. People do not realize how valuable some of these highlight bubbles are, and I can already see one mistake is you only have 4. So the minimum amount of highlights you want to have on your profile page on Instagram is 5. It fills out the entire row. And when someone comes to your page, if there's less than 5, it just looks incomplete. It looks like maybe they aren't using this all the time. Whether that's true or not, it's just a perception people have. So you want to make sure you have 5 highlights on there. So I would add one more. I always recommend that you have a reviews tab. Whether you're in video marketing or you're a coach, definitely have a reviews tab. People want to see what someone else has to say about you. And for whatever reason that is, people are just so much more likely to trust you and want to work with you when they see someone else singing your praises. So I would add a reviews tab on there. But other than that, I like behind the scenes, some of the projects you're working on, mentality, podcast. He has his pillars, and that's what I talk about in my course is what are your 3 to 5 pillars that are that say the most about you. That's what you're going to include on your highlights. And then if we go down to his actual feed, he's got his top 3 pinned, which is great. That's what I like to see. Those top pinned posts are going to give a picture to someone of what they can expect on your feed. We want to make sure that those top 3 are going to explain to someone what they can find in your page, how they could work with you even potentially. And then a lot of people are just going straight over to the Reels tab now because that is the most consumable content people are using on Instagram. And so if I scroll through this, the number one thing I'm looking for is a really, really clear title or caption on the outside of the video. If someone doesn't know what your video is going to be about, they will not click on it. On Ridges, I see it says how to make $1 million Facebook ad. That is super interesting to me. I would want to click on that. Why your videos aren't working. ChatGPT is taking over the world. Build an online course and make 6 figures. He's doing a really, really, really good job. He's got a couple of videos that do not have clear captions on them. So I would say, and here's a fun tip, you can go back and actually change that. So it's not permanent. So I would say go back and change some of those, but for the most part, you're doing a really good job.
What other marketing channels do you have aside from social media, or is it just all organic right now for you?
Yeah, so it's all organic for me. One of the things, I don't know if I mentioned, but I do always try to capture as many email addresses as I can from my social media, whether that's, I still use Facebook a little bit, primarily Instagram. I will weekly make it a habit of mine to post something that someone can either download, maybe they want to learn more about, and in exchange, I get their email address. So whether that's a lead magnet or I am simply offering, this last week I had a reel go viral on like a budgeting spreadsheet for people, which is a little bit outside of my niche person, but I still want to add value to my audience. A lot of people are interested in how to budget as a business owner. And so that is, for example, a spreadsheet I'll offer, and in exchange, I will get their email. I won't charge for that. So email marketing is something to me that works in the background, and I have set up multiple workflows based on the segment that I'm trying to target. So if someone is never seen my content before, they're brand new to my page, and they just downloaded my 30 free reels, I'm not going to go and try to push them into one of my most expensive offerings. I'm only going to try to get them to purchase my $67 Getting Started in Real Estate Guide. From there, they will get into a different funnel, which will then share with them about my social media course and my monthly membership, right? So I try to do these baby steps to take them through the funnel of the lowest ticket item to eventually working with me more intimately.
That's perfect. That's really good. I think so many people try to go straight from like cold to buy my expensive course.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're building a relationship.
Yep.
Every individual person that comes through your funnel is going through so many different steps. Like, for example, I go from a, let's say, cold ad or a viral reel to a free lead magnet. Boom, you get contact. They go back into a retargeting funnel through emails, primarily emails, right? And then you're pushing another product that's paid. Boom, it's a little upsell, but you still got all these over here too.
Yep.
And then they get into that. You're still building trust and rapport, continue retargeting, adding value, and then you're putting them into the final end of that funnel to get them down to the very bottom. So
Exactly.
You're doing it right, it sounds like. Do you have, thinking ahead in the future, have you thought much ahead of the future of where you want this to go? Or are you still trying to be like, what's happening right now and how do I stay on top of it?
Full transparency, I am 100% still 2 feet in on my real estate business, and feel like I'm also 2 feet in on this coaching business. I'm loving both of them. We're building a house right now, and so I'm not ready to make a move one direction or the other, but I definitely see this coaching being a huge part of my future. I'm just trying to figure out how that all fits in. Right now, for the foreseeable future, I'm filling up my mastermind, which I'm so excited about because, again, this is an opportunity for if you're looking to create an offering where you don't have time to take on 10 one-on-one clients, but you want to offer a little bit of a less price point and have a room full of people that are growing together. I'm super excited about this mastermind. That's kind of the next step for me. I launched that in June. And then from there, I continue to work towards my goals. I set new goals and I try to find new ways to hit those. The other thing that I am looking at is joining another coaching opportunity for myself. My coach ends, I think, in the next month. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to invest in myself. I think Alex Hormozy says it best, like instead of investing in the S&P 500, what about the S&Me 500? And he always gets the biggest return on it. So far, that's been the case for me too. So
yeah, that's awesome. Hormozy's like my street prophet. I love that dude.
He's great.
But so, okay, that's really cool to hear. So when it comes to talk about different marketing channels, when it comes to online courses, a lot of people go to paid ads.
Yeah.
Right. They start the paid ads first because not many people have a following they can lean off of. You're in a different situation. So let's say I think organic strategy needs to be a part of your paid strategy as well. I think you need to have, especially if you're you're an individual, you're a coach, like you need to have your own platform as well that you can continue adding value on and not just run ads. So how long do you think it took you? Because you grew pretty quickly. I think you were growing steadily at one point, and then there was like a time frame, probably from the last year and a half, I would say, where you started to go up fast. I think just last year when we talked, didn't you only have like just over 10K or something like that? And now you're at 56, 57. That's wild. So what do you attribute that to?
I think it's
let me rephrase. What is it about you, do you think, that people love so much? Because obviously consistency is one thing, but if you're not posting the right content, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. So one of the things I teach in my course a lot is utilizing the Instagram insights, which I think get undervalued. We, as creators and business profiles on Instagram, have access to all the insights anything we've ever posted has done. So that is a part of it. I look at that every single week and I find, what is my audience resonating with the most? Okay, that's very interesting. This reel that I shared or this story that I posted had, 10x more results than something else. And one of the things that changed in the last year was I decided to actually lean in on that and not always prioritize my own agenda. There were things that I felt like I always wanted to share, but maybe those weren't resonating as much with people. And so I started to take my feedback and actually put that into action. The other part of it, which I get told all the time, is I'm very, very, very real and authentic and vulnerable on Instagram. And so I'll get DMs daily, weekly from people opening up about all kinds of issues they're going through or struggles or questions. And I feel like I can get that response from people because I start that way. I can't expect someone to open up to me about what they're struggling with or how I can help them if I don't show that example myself online. So I do have, some people will disagree with this method, but I show my kids, I show things we're, working on, things we're struggling with, challenges we have. Right now I'm doing a running challenge and I open that up to my audience. I have people join me. So I just try to create this authentic community where we really feel like we're a family on there.
I think relatability is also a pretty big factor too.
Yes.
People able to relate to you pretty well.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And I also like your transparency. You're correct on that. Like most people, I do this to a fault sometimes too. I should probably be more relatable, but people are like try to be too perfect with their content, or they try to have it be like a highlight reel. They don't show their failures. They don't show their day to day. Like if they in the morning when they like don't have makeup and they're talking about here's what we got going on today, right?
Yep.
So there's something to be said about that too, because people don't want to see you as I don't think you want people to see you as perfect or almost even potentially intimidated by you. But that sense of relatability is what's going to get people to really want to engage with you and be loyal to you too, right?
Absolutely. And you have to be willing to turn people away. So that's another part of it is I knew if I showed my kids more, if I shared more about real estate and coaching and my courses, there were going to be people who didn't want to see that and had no desire to hear more about what I was up to. But that I had to be okay with turning some people away to then, again, like I said earlier, magnify or highlight those people that are a part of my tribe and have so much that they can relate to me with. Because at the end of the day, it really, to me, isn't about the following or having a reel go viral. The most ROI I've ever had on a post or a video, you guys, is not usually the viral stuff. It's the ones that hit directly to my ideal person that can relate to me where I'm at or maybe want to or aspire to get to where I am, and we build a connection from there. And it doesn't necessarily mean the video went viral.
Yeah. I tell people that too. I'm like, don't worry about view count. View count and follower count doesn't translate to success. It doesn't translate to money, right?
No.
I know people that have 1,000 followers that don't get that many views on the reels, maybe a couple thousand, but they make a lot more money than a lot of people I know that have like 20,000 followers,
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, sweet. Okay. Now with I want to talk about what was I going to say? So when it comes to your avatar, like your ideal customer avatar, who is that?
Yeah. So I teach people this for real estate. That's going to be a different person than who my ideal target client is for coaching. But for my coaching courses, it is really someone who aspires to grow their real estate business and they are frustrated with their current pipeline and a lack of it. And marketing methods. A lot of times it's moms just like me who have young kids who don't have a lot of time to spend marketing. They can't be at open houses all day, all week long. They can't spend maybe thousands of dollars on mailers or cold calling. Maybe they've exhausted some of these in the past. And also it's for people who are on teams right now giving up big commission splits. I have a huge passion for the solo female agent that is on their own and able to empower them, to give them the tools and resources they need to then go out and bring in their own business by themselves without relying on someone else.
Nice. What would you say to other people that are maybe could be considered experts of some degree in their field that have thought about or are wanting to do a course, but they don't know where to start? What would you say to them? And let's narrow it down a little further. Let's say they're in, well, I don't know if niche is all too relevant. Principally speaking, what would you say to those people?
Yeah. I think the best place to first start is definitely what I did, where you kind of have to do some market research. You have to put something out there, and it could be as simple as doing a poll on your Instagram stories. I have done this so many times, you guys, where I just want feedback from my audience. Like, what do you want to see more of? Or if I created X, Y, and Z, would this even be something you're interested in? It's a soft question, a soft sale, so to speak, that you're throwing out there just to see what comes back. And then from there, you can build on that and potentially create an offering around it. But I use Google Forms a lot. I know that people will use like Typeform. There's a few different platforms out there. I use a Google Form where I will have people fill out a couple of questions and give me an idea of exactly what they are struggling with, if it's social media or if it's whatever your niche is that you're trying to, or your specialty that you're trying to teach on. Maybe throw out a couple of questions and start getting responses from your audience of where are they struggling? What do they need help with? And then you can build from there. And then also, just because, I mean, I'm a daughter of a coach, and I've always been raised to learn, like, you just have to take action and then pivot. And so there is this phase of throwing spaghetti on the wall just to see what sticks. We don't always know what's going to work. I didn't know that my course, I was very passionate about launching my course, and I knew that it was going to help people, but that wasn't the first thing that I did. I started out with a few other offerings just to, again, get my bearings, figure out what was going to be the most helpful for people. And then I took an entire month of pre-launching and spent time on call after call after call, Zoom calls, phone calls, voice memos of people just asking me questions. Will your course cover this? Will it go over this? And guess what? I hadn't created the entire course. So I was able to use those questions and needs from hearing people to say, oh, I'm going to add a lesson on my newsletters that I send out monthly and how I create those, because I realized that there were people that needed help with that.
That's genius. Marlon, you listening? You paying attention? Taking notes? Because I can you take notes for me so you can share them with me, because I'm not taking notes. But this is genius.
Like, remember how I was telling you I told them I wanted to niche down to real estate investors.
So he's building courses too in the CRE space specifically.
Oh, real estate investing is huge. I haven't even tapped into any of that. I actually had a free resource on my Instagram page for a few months on real estate investing, how to get started, couple different tips. And I had so many people download that, but I did nothing with it. So that's the other part of it, is like, you can create these freebies or these downloads, but if you don't have a system for it, it can be pointless, because, for example, if you have all these people downloading something, but you're never following up with them, it's really hard to convert those people.
Yeah, for sure. It's so I think getting started, you laid it out perfectly, right? Somebody wants to start a course. Where do I begin? First, you need your proof of concept.
Yes.
I know so many people. I've talked to this one person specifically that's like, I want to be a motivational coach, like a motivational speaker. And I'm like, okay, you might want to be a motivational speaker, but how many people would want to listen to you be a motivational speaker? Or how many would want to pay you to be? Do you know? Do you have any idea? Well, no, but it's just my passion. Okay, I totally understand passion, but you need to pair passion with what people would buy from you, what you're good at.
Yeah, what are people going to pay money for?
And how do you know you're good at it? So, I talked to one guy that he's like, yeah, man, I started a course like a year ago and I just stopped doing it because it didn't work out. And I was like, okay, how did you do it? Like, walk me through your process. He's like, well, I built the curriculum, I built the offer, I built the whole course. I spent like 6 months doing it, and then I brought it to market. I was like, bro, that's a massive risk when you don't need to do that to begin with. It's like, first of all, literally just go out, engage with people and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep.
Or ask people like directly on your stories within your inner circle. If you don't have a decent following on social media, and just say, hey, what are your pain points? What are your problems? What is the solution worth to you? Right. And then see if you can get into that solution, take the results you've gotten from that as testimonials, as case studies.
Exactly.
And then there's your proof of concept. It's like, okay, now I know there's a problem in the marketplace that I provided a solution for that people are willing to pay X amount for.
Yep.
And I've done it this many times.
Yes.
Then you go do it. So you find that, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you may have to be willing to do that part for free for a while too.
Oh, yeah.
You may have to give away your tips that you're going to share on the course you're creating, or do some of these one-on-one calls for a very, very, very low amount of money or free, just to get that feedback from people. And then you may have to pivot. You may realize, okay, gosh, I thought I had something here. I am so far off. So I can make some changes. To me, I'm all about, I'm a busy mom. I wear several different hats. My husband's a builder. I do some interior design for his company. It came from a place of need where I couldn't spend 3 months making a course to then go and launch it and not have anyone purchase it. I couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
So I had to do it the other way, where I had to make sure that this was going to be worth my time, that people were going to resonate with it, and the message was going to be clear.
Well, it's a smart way to do it too, because you don't have to worry about building a whole course, bring it to market, and then sure, hope people buy it. But then when people buy it, find out that, well, I need to shift this around. I should have done this. I need to make a whole new phase to this whole curriculum,
Exactly.
right? So it's like you figure out your proof of concept. Okay, you've got your proof of concept. People are willing to pay for it. You've got a value offer. You have knowledge, right? Now, build the course. Nope, don't do that. Now, like you can start building it in the back end, but now it's like, okay, what is your offer? Who's your audience? Build the general curriculum, build the foundation, and immediately start taking it out there to go sell. And ideally, have multiple lead magnets for free if you can.
Exactly.
Hormozi talks about this. He's like, how do you separate yourself from others? Find out what others in your space aren't willing to do and then do that thing.
Go do it.
Right? What's something that most people do? Well, they charge X amount for a specific service, PDF, lead magnet, whatever. You do it, but do it for free.
Exactly. And that's where the thought process behind, because my husband and I are big Hormozi fans, that's the thought process behind our monthly membership started at $3 a month. I had so many people respond to me and say, I feel like I'm stealing something. I don't understand. Why is this so cheap? I don't even get this. Like, you just broke down all of these things. I had some person reply to me and say, I paid Tom Ferry coaching for a year and I gained more value in one of your lives. And I thought to myself, okay, this is exactly why we're starting this thing at $3, because we want people to be bought in and understand that we're going to over deliver.
It's funny that you said like they feel like they owe you. Watch this video. I'll do a screen recording of this too, because this is hilarious.
Okay.
So Course Creator Pro, you bought into this. These guys are in the top 1% of revenue generated courses. They're doing a great job. But we'll check this out.
Your Instagram posts should be value driven. In fact, I believe that for every post you ask for a sell or an opt-in, you should post at least 5 videos that ask for nothing. That 5-to-1 ratio has worked so well for me that I recently hopped on a call with one of my followers. And this is what he had to say. I mean, I know the course is going to be good, but I feel like I owe for you just for your IG posts. I deliver hella values. Sometimes I'll just binge watching you, just like the last one, which we showing the whole funnel process, the 27. You talk real well. Like, it's really good.
But his posts are insane though. Like, watch some of these.
Is the first 3 seconds of your video. I spent over $1,000 on Facebook ads to test 4 different videos. And I changed absolutely nothing on each of these videos except for the first 3 seconds. After 1 month of spending $10 a day on each video, the results were very surprising. Video 1 brought in a 0-to-1 return ad spend. We lost money. Video number 2 brought in a 4-to-1 return ad spend. Video 3.
All of his videos are like this. Like so insane. Packed with value.
You're just hooked in.
Yeah.
I'm going to play
super engaging.
Each video, and let's see if you can figure out why the last one performed the best. Let me show you 10 filmmaking secrets that will level up your videos. Number 1, here's 10 filmmaking secrets that will level up your videos even if you have a cheap camera and lens. Here's 10 ways to create cinematic videos just by using the gear you currently have. Here's 10 things every filmmaker must know about filmmaking before they ever press the record button. A 3-second change at the beginning of your videos can sometimes be the difference between success and failure.
All of his videos are like that. They're making $250,000 a month on their course, right? And they're like 30. Dude, he was just at 5,000 followers like a couple months ago. He's at 32,000 now. But anyway, his videos, like follow him if you're not already. Ridiculous value, like just insane. But yeah,
I love that.
He said, like, you're doing it right. when people feel like they need to buy from you in order to justify and make up for all the free stuff you've given them, right? Because you can just build immense trust. It's like, dude, figure out when we talk about lead magnets, if you could figure out a lead magnet that most people would have to pay like $1,000 for, that's pretty good, right? And then you get them to upsell to the biggest thing from there. So anyway, anything you want to talk about? Do you have any ideas of topics? I asked a lot. I asked a lot of questions because I wanted to learn a bunch from you.
I think just for your audience, for those of you who feel stuck, like you want to take the next step, but you don't know how. I mean, I love that you brought that up because my passion is to empower people to just take the next step to get started. And I think we spend so much time consuming other people's content and comparing our journey to someone else's. Use the mute button on Instagram. I don't know how many times I've used it. And it's with people who I love and adore that I have to mute them because I can't. I have to put blinders on. If I am comparing myself to someone else, which we all do, it's natural, who is further along than me, I start to get in my head and frustrated and sad, and my energy changes. And you guys, when your energy changes, like people can feel that. And I feel like it gets projected onto them and they're not as excited to work with you or join you. And so use the mute button. And if you really feel stuck in your journey, like I would also encourage you to look and find someone who's gone where you've gone and find a way to invest in yourself. I had to make some sacrifices to make that investment, but like I told Ridge, like it paid off tenfold for me to learn from someone who'd gone before me.
On that note though, it's interesting because I think you can take the idea of put it on mute, stop comparing yourself to other people and thinking I'll never be as good as them. I can never get there. It's like, on that note, think about that. Now translate that over to you and your content. Because everybody thinks that. Everybody's comparing themselves to you. If you want to sell really well, relate to people. Here's an example. Like you make an ad or all the posts that you make, speaking directly to where your avatar is at, and you say, listen, here's where you're at. You're struggling with this. You can't figure this out. I totally get it. And that's okay. Because I was there too.
Yep.
Right? I was at that spot that you were before, and it's not your fault. You didn't know any better. You're learning from where you can. Exactly. And it wasn't until I figured out X method, right? Or I figured out this new way of thinking that allowed me to get to where I'm at now. And I want to share that with you guys, right? So there's just a little tidbit I thought I'd throw in there. But understanding your avatar is massive. When it comes to formulating an offer from the beginning, switching over a little bit on topics here, but kind of not really. When it comes to building a course, you want to build a course, where do you begin? Okay, first of all, bottom line, what's your offer? What are you going to get people? Figure out who's your avatar. Where are they at right now? Paint that picture. Where are they at? What is their dream outcome? What are they trying to achieve? And then figure out what's in between that. Right? Why can't they get to their dream outcome? What's holding them back? And then how do you know how to get them from here to here?
Exactly.
Right?
That's the question I ask on. I still do to this day a lot of clarity calls. They're 15 minutes. People will ask me questions, but the first opening question I ask them is, what's working really well for you in your business right now, or wherever you're at? What's working well? And they'll tell me. And then I say, what is not working well? Where do you need help? Where are the gaps? And they fill those and they tell me those. And as a business owner, it's up to us to be authentic in our response and make sure that you actually can help someone. But my job is to tell them how my offer is going to get them from point A to point B and help them overcome those struggles that they're having. If your offer is not going to help them do those things they're struggling with, it is our job to tell them, okay, look, this is not going to be the best fit for you. I actually think this over here is going to be a better option. Or maybe you don't have something to help them at that time, but trust me when I say, like, that's going to give you so much more respect too as a business owner when you can be honest with someone that maybe you can't help them.
The best way to sell is by not selling.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you want to be the best salesperson, start providing solutions. And if there's no solution to give, you have nothing to sell. Exactly. Right? Like if they're not in a position where your offer can genuinely help them and you're not confident in it, you got nothing to give them. Another thing you could do though is like with one of our clients, if they don't have the funds to invest in something, for example, and that's the only thing holding them back, it's like, that's okay. We've got a very low offer to get you past the bottleneck of making enough money to afford this.
Yes.
Take this, run with it, come back to us when you're ready. Right. Yep. That's another thing too. It's like, don't just let them leave. right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we can help you, but you don't have the funds for it. It's like, sorry, right? Either payment plans if they can, or it's be like, that's okay. We've got this. Take this PDF. I put a book together of how you can, for example, say you're doing real estate investing. Somebody wants to flip a property, but they don't have the funds to do it. Like they need to gather funds first before they can afford to buy into the course to be able to get all this stuff. So, okay, cool. Take this PDF on how to, a template on a pitch deck and how to properly pitch investors to get money. And then once you do that, come back, we'll give you the rest. Like random example. But
that's great.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like building out your framework and understanding who you're helping, you got to be super clear on where you're taking them and how you're going to get them there. Like if you're not insanely clear on that, it's hard to sell.
It will fall on deaf ears. And at the same point, I want to give permission to the viewer too that may change. You may have picked a specific target audience and completely missed the mark, or you don't have passion for it anymore, or you realize that that's not the right audience. Like you have permission to change your audience, but stick with one audience. Try to fit one specific type of person. And one other tidbit that I do have that I think has dramatically transformed my sales is I show up on my social media, in my email marketing, to talk to one person. And I actually think of that one person. And it's not always the same person, but it's someone who, let's say, maybe I had a call with, or they've been asking questions. I know a little bit about their story. I will close my eyes and say that person's name and think of them before I go on and share whatever I'm going to share, because we want to really, really, really narrow down who we're talking to then, it's just that example of like, if that person then comes on and sees my content, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel like Jenna is literally talking to me. And that's what I want. If that person is feeling that way, chances are there's other people in my funnel who are feeling also the same way.
For sure. 100%. This is really good. One last question for you. What, someone's looking to start a course or coaching business. What's one book you'd recommend for them to read first?
Ooh, Story Wars.
Story Wars.
I can't even remember the author, so I really apologize. I need to give that person credit. I just started reading it. It has been very transformative in the way that I show up on my coaching calls, in anything. There's also, I got to look him up because I need to give this guy credit. There's a guy, he's not the author of this book, but he was just on Jenna Kutcher's podcast, and hold on a second. I got to find him. Sorry, you guys.
Is it Jonas Sachs?
Jonas Sachs wrote the book, and it's incredible. He's teaching us how to use storytelling to
that looks good.
Increase our business. But there's a man named Colin Boyd who I recently discovered. I actually have a friend who I know paid him to put together a talk that he was doing in front of a lot of people. And Jenna Kutcher also hired him recently to do a webinar or to teach her how to do a webinar. And he is all about also the idea of storytelling in our messaging. And I think it just goes back to like when someone tells a really good story, we're just like so focused and interested and bought in, and we want to hear everything they have to say. And for those of us that can learn how to get better at storytelling, I think it's just an easier way to connect with our audience and grow them. So I'm excited to work on those skills of storytelling and learn more from those who do it really well.
Stories, everything. That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta get that too.
Stories sell. Facts tell. Stories sell.
100%. Well, cool. Jenna, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
How can people find out about you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram. That's primarily my main social media platform, at Jenna Elise with 2 E's at the end.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you again, guys. Thanks for tuning in, listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.